Yeah, I mean, you see it. I think you do see it a little bit, probably more in no-gi. It's kind of a bit more the meta in no-gi for regardless of size. But I think this is how I see it. I see it as jiu-jitsu competition evolved really well to play. Like you could see a clear transition away from inside leg positioning to outside leg positioning in the world championship level. That was quite obvious. And then I see leg locks coming along in no-gi. And that changed. Everyone went, "Oh, I don't want my legs on the outside." So they're like, "Oh, I'm going to have to put them on the inside."
Like
again.
really validated inside position.
Yeah, it made people change, and they were like, "Okay, my feet are now going on the inside."
Yeah.
And that, I think now, I feel like I'm seeing this, but the trend is to start to go to outside again, because the first thing, of course, when someone starts trying to heel hook you and you've never been exposed to it before, your first thing is to freak out and put your feet as far away from as possible. But then when you start to get more comfortable, like, oh, okay, I can actually have my foot here and I'm still safe and I know how to defend, you start to get more confident to go back to what was the best guard retention style, I guess. So I think I kind of see it.
A more proficient leg locker could actually do quite well playing outside leg positioning, as opposed to...
Well, I mean, that's what I used. They can still do well. Yeah, I think if you're comfortable with your defense, you should be comfortable to play with outside leg positioning. If you're not comfortable with defense, you might have to start playing in no-gi, inside leg positioning, but then that can really mess up your game. I think like probably a good example, I saw like Homolo Bahal has always been known for his spider guard and kind of outside leg positioning. I remember his match with Gordon Ryan, he played butterfly guard, and he got passed. And to me that was him going, okay, I don't want to get leg locked, where can I put my legs? But it took him right out of his actual A game.
That's a very fair point.
Whereas a Homolo Bahal that's very confident with, like who's dealing with people trying to heel him all the time, I think would probably play more outside leg positioning and just modify it slightly.
Yeah. Alright, so we're basically trying to look at the differences between inside positioning and outside positioning from a guard retention perspective.
Yeah, and so like, I mean, defining it, so outside positioning, for me is defining it by whether my feet are inside your, like between your legs or not. Because I think a lot of people say a lot of people say, oh, this is inside positioning because I'm inside your arms, right? But maybe it makes sense from like an anatomical point of view, like I'm inside your legs here, sorry, your arms. But from an actual tactical point of view, this is a difficult thing to guide people on what to do. Because if you said like, oh, he plays inside positioning, which basically means any guard. Like any guard, I'm usually looking for basically like something like this or this or this or yeah, exactly. So it almost becomes a useless term if we're just using it to define like my feet going inside your arms or your legs. But it becomes a very useful term tactically, whether I'm putting my feet inside your legs or outside your legs.
So
and all the guards kind of link together like that too.
Yeah.
So if I've got my feet outside your legs, then we have like spider guard, collar sleeve. We could have like open guards, de la hiva, K guard, close guard. They all kind of link. All those things you can switch from one to the other really easy. What you can't switch from easily is spider guard and butterfly guard. Like this is not a good transition. You very rarely see that. I can't go butterfly guard. Oh, cool. Now I'm going to go K guard. And then try to free my. Yeah, exactly. Like once I've put my feet on the inside, I've pretty much committed to an inside positioning guard, which would be like butterfly. If you're standing, it's going to be single leg X. Obviously you can look into leg entanglements from both of those. It could be half butterfly. The only time I think they do overlap a little bit is you can have one in, one out. So for example, half guard, where I've got one leg outside, one inside, can link quite well into a butterfly. But I could also link quite well to the outside. And there's a few of those like one in, one out guards, which actually I think are great linking guards between the style. But generally people will choose an inside or outside style and then have those one in, one outs as like ways of moving in and out of that as well. So that could be like reverse de la hiva. If I'm an outside player, I'm coming back to here. If I'm an inside player, I'm working back into shin to shin. It could be like the headquarters position, and some people again look to go inside from here, but
they also recover to outside. So for guard retention purposes, what would you reckon is better, inside or outside?
Well, who do you think of when you think of like the best people in the world for guard retention? If you think like the
best guard players. So I'm looking at obviously a lot of
not even offensively, just like who hasn't had their guard pass through, or extremely rarely.
Very rarely. So you look at like the Miao brothers. They pretty much never get their guards passed.
Yep.
And they always play a lot of outside leg positioning. Even in no-gi as well, they are playing a lot of K guard or De La Hiva, Wader. In the gi, there's been a lot of close guard.
I don't know if I said it. Close guard's also outside.
Yeah, it's outside. Mendes brothers. I mean, Huff is pretty much always using Berimbolo or even collar sleeve when he's playing guard. Michael Lange, he's someone that really gets past.
Yeah.
And plays a lot of spider outside leg positioning.
Yeah, by far it's pretty clear to me that the outside leg positioning players tend to be like the high level at this tend to be hard, tend to have what I would say is a harder guard to pass. Certainly when I'm rolling with someone like you, it's way more frustrating to try to pass someone like you who plays very well from outside positioning than like a butterfly inside positioning. But I don't want to.
You don't want to bash on inside.
No, because it is. You can be really effective. I think it's actually in some ways it's a little bit of a risk reward thing as well. You're possibly more likely to make something happen from inside leg position. Possibly, like you're getting underneath. It's more risky because you're giving, like when you go feet inside, you're allowing your opponent a chance to get a control on you, but in trying to control you, they're giving you their weight as well, and you could possibly attack too. So, I definitely don't say it's a bad thing. There's plenty of very good inside leg positioning players as well. But in terms of purely objectively, what tends to have the higher percentage of like impassable guards, I'd say outside.
Is outside leg positioning. Yeah.
Now, I do want to add as well that there's probably a flexibility component. So I think if you're extremely inflexible, it's harder to play outside positioning. Like you can still use the concepts and learn them well, but you probably want to stretch a bit.
Yeah, you want like people that are less flexible, they're more inclined to play like a butterfly, or a half guard.
Yeah.
Or like even X guard variations as well.
Yeah. So let's have a look at why, if you want to jump down. Why I think anyway. And I think it's just we think about passing in layers. So generally, there's the layer of the feet that we want to pass, and then there's the layer of the knees that we have to get past, and then we start to go from there. And to be honest, like when I roll with you, the battle is trying to get past layer 1 and 2.
Yeah.
That's where you just keep pushing it back. I start trying to go through here, you're pummeling back, and I don't get past layer 1 or 2. Whereas it's almost where I want to get on you is where it starts. Yeah. Like if you're sitting up, I'm like, cool. Now I have you on knee line. Yeah, I'm not saying that again. Doesn't mean it's like easy to pass, but I'm very happy that I didn't have to work to get past those 2 layers. I now have to work to get your hips and your upper body and prevent you from off balancing. There's a lot of difficult things to do.
Whereas most people will just start in that like mid stage basically.
Exactly. You're starting from 1 or 2 layers back, which I think it's more risky. Like if you start coming in with inside and I get to here now, I've obviously there's still this battle for inside control here, like where it's back and you're battling for the same, and who's winning that? You can control me very well from there, and I can control you very well from there. It's not just a clear I'm winning, you're not winning thing, but you've given me a couple of layers, and that's how I view it these days.
Yeah. I've kind of before I used to play a lot of outside positioning, I would play around with like a lot of half guard and butterfly. And I always felt that obviously when I had the butterfly, I obviously had this option of sweeping my opponent, attacking some kind of like arm bar or triangle setup. But I felt like if I couldn't get any of those spots, I basically ended up in this spot where I'm potentially quite compromised. My opponent can get like some kind of body lock or try and like sprawl on my hooks. And I noticed that since I was starting at playing a lot more outside leg positioning, I'm rarely in these spots where I'm, potentially going to get past or giving up some kind of good control, whether it's a cross face or like, opponent covers both of my hips and I can't bring my knee back to my chest.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot more safer in that respect when I play just outside.
Outside, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've certainly trended towards that more recently, and I've noticed. I think I've had a noticeable, pretty much since. Well, I was already playing it before ADCC, but since then, even I've worked a lot on my guard retention from outside league positioning, obviously with following some of your good tips, and that's made a huge difference for me in terms of how often I get past and how much danger. I really don't feel as often in danger as I do. You know, now if someone gets me into, you know, somewhere like a butterfly, I usually want to get out and try to get my friends back. But that's, again, I don't want, because you can be very I think like for submission wise, the inside leg positioning.
Oh yeah, you can leg entanglement.
Leg entanglement, or like the prone arm bars and guillotines, and there's a lot of immediate threats that aren't, like when you play outside leg positioning, when there's collar sleeve, okay, there's obviously upper body submissions, but generally it's like it's a rotational. You're trying to spin around and create angles to get to a leg entanglement or get on top or get to the back. Which is it's still a very good strategy, but it's different in the immediate threat level. So obviously people have to take that into account when choosing their style. But it is something that you do have to. I think you really have to think about. Like when the match starts, this is one of the first things you're looking at. Do I put my feet on the outside or the inside? Like if I pull guard, one of the first things I'm thinking is, am I going here, or am I going like for here, or am I going one in, one out? Like that's an immediate decision, and it's different to saying like, if you said to someone, "I'll just get inside control," that could be any guard. That's not a very clear direction for someone on what, like, your opponent on top's trying to get inside control, or whatever control. I don't care. Outside control is still good as well. Control is control. Control is good, of course. That's a good thing to get, but I don't think that's a very clear direction on what someone needs to do. Whereas inside positioning or outside positioning is quite a clear goal.
How about for like dealing with, as a smaller opponent, dealing with a larger opponent?
Yeah.
If you were to choose between playing a guard that's inside position or outside position.
I don't know, if you've seen any of my older matches, like when I used to compete open weight in Australia a bit, I always used to, even when I was playing, like even when single X was my best guard, I would pull spider guard against an open. I fought Pampaks in the open weight a few times, and some guys who were like 120 kilos, and it was always spider guard.
Yeah.
Because I always thought like feet on the biceps gives me, it's like my legs against your arms. And distance, and I can kick away and never let you get to here, where I've lost. Actually, that's a good point. The strongest distance maker is the stomp, right? The kick.
Yeah.
And as soon as your feet are inside, you have no stomp.
Yeah. It's very different. It's like a leg press versus a leg extension.
Yeah, this is like a leg extension. Like this is nowhere near as strong as a stomp. So always having that available against someone big is important.
Yeah.
I assume also.
Definitely. I always find it like quite alarming if I ever, especially against a larger opponent, if they catch me in like a knee cut, or if they manage to force me somehow into like a butterfly guard, I'm quite alarmed at that moment, and I'm trying to retreat back to like an earlier layer of guard retention.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, sure. Against people my weight, and obviously people smaller than me, I feel a lot more confident. I would feel a lot more confident using, say, like some kind of inside, like a butterfly guard, for example. I feel a lot more confident going for like that, those prone arm bar.
Yeah.
And cutting arm bar variation from the butterfly.
I think you can. I mean, if you play inside positioning, but you're smaller, you still can do it. But I feel like it's more like arm drags, and you're trying to get around your opponent, which is actually outside is great for getting around your opponent.
Yeah.
Whereas inside, you're tending to try to get under.
Yeah.
But now you're changing to, like if you're bigger and I'm playing inside, if you go on your knees maybe. But I would be looking to like get around you, and work off that. I don't think it's a good idea to try to like come under and lift, because it's it could work, but it could be really bad.
Yeah. I mean, Marcelo is a great example of making use of like a butterfly guard in both gi and no gi.
Yeah.
But I also feel like the style of passing used back then was quite different to how people pass in the gi now. A lot less people will be playing off their knees.
I mean, he's got inside and then doing
Yeah,
like
it
single
goes to
legs, which
single
is good
leg,
too.
yes,
Yeah, I mean,
that's usually his combo. He
Yeah.
uses the butterfly to make
Yeah.
people stand to get to the single leg X.
yeah.
Yeah. But X guard, I do think that X guard is quite different to a butterfly guard.
A leg entanglement is great against big people.
Yeah.
That's actually where I want. If I'm against someone big, I want to get to a leg entanglement.
Yeah.
Like,
So you
but
would
I
specify
would-
that, like, because I feel like people will get confused. People think a leg entanglement is like this, this like double guard pull position. You're both trying to like wrap up a foot, And
No, I mean,
just
to me,
somehow
leg
leg.
entanglement is like
But
single leg
it's
or
like a
X
single leg X
like-
or a 50-50 or something.
It negates my ability to really put weight on you,
Yeah.
right? Because now your legs can elevate.
Well, because
against-
your weight is like right above basically my chest, and I can just kick.
Yeah, exactly. Your legs
up.
can offer.
Whereas like a butterfly guard, your weight is sitting like way behind,
Yeah.
weight in front of me, I guess.
Yeah.
It's harder for me to elevate you in that sense. Not saying it's impossible.
Yeah.
But it's definitely harder than X guard.
Yeah. It can be a good avenue to get there.
Yeah.
But you need some momentum.
Yeah.